And welcome back to On the Mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. In my last episode, I talked about team power dynamics and mentioned that this might become a series, and I was right. Today, I'm going to share with you how to grow your team. I said I was going to give you some tips on how to properly manage and leverage team conflict and power dynamics, but that all starts with really building and growing your team. There's some things you really must start from the very beginning. So let's get into it. The first thing you've got to do is establish unity. Okay, everybody's got to be on board and share responsibility for the goals of the team. Okay, this is where people have to throw out I, me, and my. There is no I, me, and my on the team. That's got to go out the window. Everybody, and I mean everybody, must recognize that team is about we and us. Okay. So as the leader, you must establish the roles and responsibilities of the team and team members. Okay. You need to have a contingency plan also in case a team member is sick, they get injured, for some reason they have to go on medical leave, there's some type of emergency, maybe they have to go and be put on a different project away from your team's project altogether. There's any number of reasons why you may have to find someone else to fill that spot. You need to have a contingency plan of who can step in. You've got to be able to answer that question. I would say perhaps one of the most critical parts of building and growing a team is communication. How will the team communicate? How often are you talking? Okay. What's the time zone for communicating if team members are working remotely and if in a different time zone? Because listen, we have virtual teams all the time. That is a thing. It is new, and so you've got to establish the time zone. Okay. You got to establish deadlines. And again, what time zone are those deadlines due in? How will the team meet? And how often will the team meet and for how long? Listen, you guys, team meetings are important. I'm not anti-meeting. However, I am anti-meeting to figure out when you're going to meet again. Team meetings need to be productive. That means you need to have an agenda. You need to know what you're doing. I'm not trying to be funny, but you have to put a time limit on how long folks can talk. Because if you don't, people will go on and on and on for hours at a time, turning a meeting, a productive meeting, into what's called a bitch session. You don't have time for that when it comes to business. This is not a session where you complain constantly, okay? You need to know, you need to say, why is there a team in the first place? That's got to be established in the beginning as well, so that everybody kind of understands what they're agreeing to, why they're on this team, what are the initiatives. That's how you get buy-in from the very beginning. You have to share all of the 5 W's up front. What's the who, what, when, where, why of it all, and then share how of the team. Okay? Clearly communicating will make it easy, if not easier, to identify teams or team members at the heart of power struggles. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say power struggles, make sure you go back and listen to the previous podcast, because I talked about power struggles. That's how we began this whole thing, talking about team power dynamics. Okay. How is it be easy or easier to identify these people? Because if you have verbally communicated everything, and I mean everything the team needs to be successful, you're transparent with the team, you follow up with an email, everything is in writing, and there are still team members with questions that you've already answered from the beginning, you have the makings of a power struggle. And you need to shut it down immediately. There is no giving people space to learn. No. If you don't nip it in the bud in the beginning, it's going to grow, because that's a sign that they're testing their boundaries. They want to see what they can get away with. What turmoil and strife can I cause, and what can I get away with? Because if you don't check it, anything that goes unchecked will eventually amplify and become a serious problem. So again, I say the moment this behavior begins, you must check it. You absolutely cannot wait. Okay. The longer you take to address misbehavior, the worse things become. Trust me. We can look at our government and see that. Okay. It's a quick spiral down the drain. Okay. Many times, like I said, what these people are doing are testing the waters to see how far they can go. They're asking themselves, seriously, they're asking themselves, what can I get away with? If little things slide in the beginning, I promise you, you're going to see a downward spiral. I promise you, every single time. You have to curb the behavior immediately. You have to establish your authority from the beginning, which means establishing boundary lines. Once people kind of see what they can and can't get away with, that, listen, I have no problem asserting my authority. If I have to be the dominant one and say, look, this is what it is, and put my foot down, then that's what I would do. I prefer using influence over power, but I will do it if I have to. So that's something that you want to think about as when you start talking about team power dynamics. You really have to get into how the team was put together in the beginning. That is critical. Okay, that is probably one of the most important things that you can do. If you establish authority from the beginning and you put certain things in place from the beginning, you should not have any issues with power struggles. And you should have the right team dynamics, especially as it relates to power, and it should be even keel. Again, I said that, team conflict can be healthy. I will get to that eventually. I'm going to do a next, of course, this, again, like I said, this is a series. So we're going to talk about power versus influence and how to use it. In the last podcast, I kind of talked about that. And again, go back and listen to it, because I gave some different definitions. Well, not necessarily different definitions, but I did show the difference between power and influence, because we tend to overlap those or use those interchangeably, to mean one as the same as the other, when really they can be used interchangeably, but with different results. And so I'm going to get into what it looks like when you're asserting power versus when you're using your influence. Remember, influence is more about relationship. So we're going to get into that. I'm really excited. And again, thank you so much for supporting me. I appreciate you for listening. You've been on the mic with Dr. H, the Global Mentor Coach. If you like this podcast, make sure you please like and share it. Keep spreading the word about it. I sincerely, really, I don't take this for granted, your listening ear or your time for granted. I appreciate your support. I really do. If there are topics you'd like me to cover, send them to info@globalmentorcoach.com. Again, if there are topics you would like me to cover, send them to info@globalmentorcoach.com. Again, thanks for tuning in with me, Dr. Race, the Global Mentor Coach. Remember to spread lots of love and light. Until next time, bye.